The moment the judge read my cousin's name out loud, my whole family went silent, and I finally understood why my front door had been accidentally left unlocked. I was still holding a grocery receipt in one hand, like it was proof I belonged in my own life. It started with something painfully normal. A Saturday afternoon, a lukewarm coffee, and my grandma's backyard packed with folding chairs that never stopped wobbling. I had just upgraded my phone, the kind you buy after months of skipping little joys, and I was snapping pictures of the kids chasing each other around the pool. The sun was bright enough to make everyone look happy, even the people who weren't. My cousin Griffin has always been the family's favorite punchline maker. Big laugh, big stories, always just joking. He drifted behind me and said, "Still glued to that thing?" I didn't even turn around. I just said, "Don't." Calm. Clear. The way you say it when you know someone is looking for an excuse to ignore you. He chuckled anyway. Then his hand flicked out. My phone smacked the concrete once, slid like it had a mind of its own, and dropped straight into the pool with a small, humiliating splash. For half a second, nobody moved. Then everyone did, all at once, gasping like my phone was a puppy. Griffin laughed. He actually laughed. I didn't think it would go in. I fished it out with shaking fingers. The screen went black and the weight of it felt like wet regret. My aunt made that little pouty face, the one that means she's about to defend him. "Sweetie, accidents happen." "It wasn't an accident," I said, and my voice sounded too steady for how hot my eyes were. I told him to stop. Griffin's smile thinned. "You're being dramatic." I wanted to scream. I didn't. I just walked into the kitchen, rinsed my hands, and stared at my reflection in my grandma's microwave door like I was watching someone else fall apart. At the Apple store, the tech gave me the polite sympathy look. Water damage, not repairable. I listened, nodded, and tried to swallow the fact that I'd just watched my savings drown for someone else's joke. When I asked Griffin to pay for it, he didn't even pretend to apologize. He leaned back like a king in a plastic lawn chair. "Why would I? You shouldn't have been standing near the pool with something that expensive." That sentence hit harder than the phone ever did. The blame didn't land on his hand, it landed on my choices, on my body, on my existence in the wrong place. By dinner, the family court had already formed. My mom pulled me aside, whisper hissing, "Don't make a scene." My grandma patted my arm like I was the one who needed calming. Even my little sister, who borrows my sweaters without asking, said, "Maybe just let it go. He has a baby now." That baby was the reason Griffin had started acting like consequences were optional. He'd tell anyone who would listen that he was trying to do better while somehow never doing anything different. I went home that night to my condo, the one I inherited from my Aunt Dahlia after she died, and I sat on the floor by the front door like a kid, staring at my dead phone and breathing through the ache in my chest. I work in collectible investments. I spend my days explaining value to strangers, yet my own family acted like my money was a joke, and my boundaries were a suggestion. The next morning, Griffin sent a text. "No hard feelings. You know I love you. Don't ruin the family over a phone." I read it twice, then opened my notes app on my old backup device and started a file called Everything. Screenshots, dates, the repair report, the messages where I said clearly stop, the replies where he laughed. A week later, a certified letter arrived at my door. My hands actually went cold. It was from Griffin's girlfriend, Rue, written in that careful, fake professional tone. They were requesting reimbursement for a pool pump part that broke during the incident, plus inconvenience. Costs for being without water. I stared at it, stunned. My cousin knocks my phone into a pool, and now I'm being invoiced for his backyard. That's when I realized this was never about a phone. It was about control, about teaching me that any pushback would be punished. So I called their homeowner's insurance, not to be petty, but because Rue had accidentally handed me the key to the truth. If there was a claim, there would be records. If there were records, there would be timelines. And if there were timelines, Griffin's little accident would have to live in daylight. When the adjuster asked for details, I told the story once, slowly like I was placing each fact on a table. Then I forwarded my replacement phone receipt, and the certified letter where they tried to charge me. 2 days later, my mom called, screaming so hard I held the phone away from my ear. "Do you know what you did? Their insurance is dropping them." Rue is sobbing. Griffin is furious. I didn't raise my voice. That was the strangest part. They tried to bill me. I'm protecting myself. "You're tearing this family apart," she shouted. I almost laughed, because the family had already chosen its side. It just didn't like seeing the bill. That night, Griffin showed up at my condo. He banged on my door like he owned it. I didn't open it. I watched through the peephole, my heart thudding while he paced and cursed. "Open up," he yelled. "We need to talk like adults." Adults don't slap property out of someone's hands and call it love. Adults don't send certified threats. Adults don't weaponize the word family. I whispered through the door. "Leave." He got quiet. Then his voice turned sweet, which was somehow worse. You know, you wouldn't even have this place without Dahlia. You didn't earn it. My stomach dropped. He'd said my aunt's name like he was biting into it. She would hate what you're doing, he added. That was the moment I felt it. The little twist in my gut. The sense that this had been planned, not the prank, the pressure after. The way everyone piled on. The way he aimed straight for my home. I stepped back from the door and checked my condo mailbox slot. Another envelope had been shoved through. This one wasn't certified. It was printed cheap paper, but the header made my blood go thin. Notice of eviction. My name was on it, my address was on it, and the landlord's signature looked like mine. Except it wasn't. If you're enjoying this story so far, hit like, subscribe, and share to support these real-life narrations, because what happened next is exactly why boundaries matter. Alright, now let me take you back. I ran to my desk and opened my laptop, hands trembling so hard I kept missing the password. I searched my address online and found it listed for rent, photos of my living room taken from inside my home. The caption said available immediately, key pickup arranged, and under contact there was a burner email, signed casually with Rue's name. I sat there staring at the screen and my throat tightened. Those photos weren't old listings. They were from last week. My throw blanket, my chipped mug. Even the hallway mirror smudged the way I always forget to clean it. Someone had been inside, in my own home with my name on the deed alone. I pulled up my building's lobby footage. Too late. The recordings cycle fast. So I called my building manager, voice shaking anyway. He went quiet, then promised to check the fob logs. No one is authorized to show your unit, he said. If someone used a fob, we'll see which one. Then my boss called. Aspen? A woman phoned asking about your salary. Said she was verifying income for a rental you applied for. My stomach dropped. They weren't just messing with my feelings. They were building a paper trail, making it look like I was the one trying to rent out my home. And suddenly I remembered Rue at my grandma's party, whining about court. About needing a stable address for Griffin's custody fight. I hadn't cared then. I care now. I filed a police report, then dug out my aunt's trust documents, the ones that say the condo is mine, protected from family pressure. I took photos of every page. I emailed copies to myself. I sat on the floor with my back against the door, breathing through anger. A text popped up from an unknown number. You can stop this if you cooperate. We only need a few weeks. I typed one word. No. The reply came instantly. Then check your door. My heart slammed. I stood, walked to the peephole, and looked out. Rue was in my hallway holding a spare building fob. Griffin leaned against the wall like he belonged there. Rue smiled sweetly at the camera above my door, and in her other hand, like a trophy, she held my dead phone, still damp, still smelling like pool water, and she mouthed through the glass. Open up. I didn't open the door. I slid my phone into my hoodie pocket, locked my bedroom door, and moved like I'd rehearsed it. Lights off. Breath quiet. I called the non-emergency line, then my building manager, then my best friend from work because I didn't just need help. I needed witnesses. The dispatcher stayed calm. Do not confront them. If they attempt entry, call back immediately. Rue knocked again, softer, like she was doing me a favor. Aspen, please. We're not trying to scare you. We just need to talk. Griffin cut in. Sharp, stop acting like a victim. Open the door. My hands were shaking so hard my keys rattled and the sound made me furious. This was my home, my dead aunt's last gift to me, and they were in my hallway, treating it like a prize. I texted my building manager. They're outside my unit now. Call security. Pull the fob logs. Then I did something that surprised even me. I replied through the door. Steady. Okay, give me a minute. I heard their little shuffle of relief. Griffin muttered. Finally. I wasn't surrendering. I was setting the trap. I cracked the door with the chain on, just enough for them to see my face and believe they still had leverage. Rue lifted my waterlogged phone like a prop. See, she said sweetly. We can be reasonable. You give us a key, we drop the listings. We all move on. You were inside my home? I said. Rue's smile twitched. You weren't using the place efficiently. You work all day, it's just sitting here. Griffin leaned in. Dahlia would have wanted family to benefit, not you hoarding it. There it was. The motive finally said out loud. I held up my phone, screen recording running. Say what you want again? Clearly. Rue stepped closer, voice low. We need an address for Griffin's custody paperwork. If we can show stability here, the judge. She stopped, realizing she'd handed me the knife. I nodded once.com, so you broke in, listed my home, and impersonated me. To build a custody story, Griffin hit the door with his palm. Turn that off. I didn't flinch. No. The elevator dinged. 2 security guards stepped out, and my building manager right behind them, breathless, holding a tablet. Relief hit so hard my knees went weak. Rue's voice turned syrupy. We're family. It's a misunderstanding. We were invited. The manager didn't look at her. We pulled the fob logs, he said, tapping the screen. Aspen's fob never accessed this floor. A guest fob tied to Griffin's old unit accessed her hallway multiple times this week. Griffin's face went blank. That's not possible. One guard stepped forward. You need to leave the property now. Griffin tried to laugh. Nobody laughed with him. They left with the kind of fury that pretends it's dignity. As soon as the hallway cleared, my manager printed the fob log on letterhead and signed it. If you need this for police, it's official, he said. I went back inside, locked up, and did the most boring, powerful thing in the world. Paperwork. Screenshots of the rental listing, the fake eviction notice, the salary verification call my boss had warned me about, the text that said cooperate. I emailed everything to the lawyer who handled Dahlia's trust. Then froze my credit, flagged my bank, and filed a report for identity fraud and attempted unlawful entry. Then I set a deadline quietly. I sent one email to Rue's burner address, polite as a customer service rep. Please confirm in writing that you created the listing and that you do not have permission to enter my residence. This is your opportunity to resolve the matter without escalation. I didn't expect her to answer. I expected her to panic, she answered within minutes. I did what I had to do, she wrote. We needed an address. You're being selfish. We only went in because Griffin used to stay there and your family said it was fine. My stomach turned, but my fingers stayed steady. I forwarded it to my lawyer with the subject line, confession. At work the next day, the reputation front hit. My boss called me into his office. Someone contacted our front desk, claiming you were running an illegal rental out of your address, he said, face tight. They hinted you might be doing side deals with clients. My throat went cold. That wasn't random. That was targeted. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I handed him the police report number, the fob log on letterhead, and the screenshot of the fake listing with Rue's email attached. This is harassment, I said, voice flat. I'm addressing it legally. If anyone calls again, please document and forward it. He read for a long moment, then nodded once. Understood? I'll have reception send those calls to me. It was such a small sentence, but it felt like a door locking. That night, my phone lit up with family group chat messages. Aunts, uncles, cousins I barely spoke to. They weren't asking what happened. They were telling me what happened. Like they'd already decided. Why are you attacking Griffin when he's fighting for his kid? Rue is crying. She says, you're trying to ruin them? You always thought you were better because you got Dahlia's place? My mother wrote, you're humiliating us? I didn't defend myself in the chat. I didn't give them a performance. I screenshot everything, then sent one private message to the only relative who ever spoke to me like I was human. My Uncle Rhodes. I'm not posting this publicly, I wrote, but I'm sending it to you so someone in this family knows the truth. I attached the fob log, the hallway recording transcript, Rue's email confession, and the police report number. Rhodes called me 10 minutes later. Aspen, he said, voice low, I'm so sorry. This is insane. It's not insane, I whispered. It's entitled, Do you want me to talk to your mother? No, I said. And the word came out clean. I want her to live with what she chose. 2 days later, the officer called. We identified the listing account. The email and number traced back to Rue. We have enough to open an investigation. My stomach flipped half relief, half nausea. So there's proof. There's proof. Then they tried one last move. I got served with a petition claiming Griffin had been living at my address with permission and had stable housing support. Attached was a blurry photo of Griffin in my kitchen. I stared at it until my eyes went dry, because I recognized the angle. That photo wasn't taken from the doorway. It was taken from inside my living room. I went straight to my building manager. Any cameras cover my door? He shook his head. Not directly. What about across the hall? He hesitated. The new tenant installed a doorbell camera. I knocked. A woman opened, cautious. I explained quietly that someone had been entering my unit and I needed help. She watched my face for a long second, then nodded. I wondered why strangers kept walking your side of the hall. She pulled up her app and scrolled. And there it was. Rue, smiling, holding my keys. Griffin behind her. Rue, turning to the camera and saying, clear as day. She won't notice. She's always at work. My breath caught like it had teeth. The tenant emailed the clip to me, timestamped intact. In court, Griffin wore a suit that didn't fit right. Rue clung to his arm like a shield. My mother sat behind them, eyes swollen as if tears could rewrite reality. Griffin's lawyer began, my client has been residing at the address with family support. My lawyer stood, we have video evidence of unlawful entry and an admission of intent to deceive this court. The judge watched the clip in silence, then asked Griffin one question. Did you have permission to enter this residence? Griffin opened his mouth. My lawyer slid the signed fob log onto the table, then Rue's email confession, then the rental listing evidence, then the fake eviction notice, then my workplace call notes. Griffin swallowed and finally said, "No." The judge's voice stayed flat. "This court does not reward fraud. I am referring this matter for investigation. I am granting a protective order regarding this address and this petitioner, and I am noting this deception in the custody record." Rue started crying. Big, dramatic tears. I didn't look at her. I looked at the judge because the only thing I wanted was closure. In the hallway afterward, my mother grabbed my wrist. "You ruined him," she hissed. I gently pulled free. No, he ruined himself. A week later, the rental listing vanished. The fake eviction stopped. The calls stopped. Security posted their names at the front desk. My phone went quiet in the best way, like my life was finally mine again. Rhodes texted me. "Half the family is furious. The other half is embarrassed. Griffin is blaming everyone but himself." I read it, set my phone down, and let the noise stay outside my walls. On Sunday morning, I opened an envelope I'd avoided since all this started. It was taped under Dahlia's old jewelry box, the one I kept on a shelf like a shrine. Inside was her handwriting, neat and sharp. "If anyone tries to take your peace by calling it family, remember this. A lock is not cruelty. It is clarity." Folded behind it was a notarized addendum to her trust, dated years ago. Naming Griffin and Rue as prohibited occupants by name, Dahlia had seen them coming, long before I did. And as I slid that addendum into my safe, I realized the sweetest revenge wasn't court or footage or paperwork. It was the fact that my aunt had already slammed the door for me, and all I had to do was stop holding it open.